Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. If you like The Mike Wagner Show and you want to make your own podcast, well, let me tell you about Anchor. First of all, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. You can also add any song from Spotify directly to your episodes. The possibilities are endless. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you. You can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, many more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson Zia of Missing, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. We're here with an amazing lady who spent 2 years as a managing editor of Law Enforcement Commission before realizing lawyers makes a lot of money. And also she worked with a first-tier law firm and the state of New Jersey, and also to a solo practice as well too. And she also chaired the New Jersey for alternative to the death penalty, which is the NJADP. And she also performed stand-up comedy in Vermont. Also an award-winning author as well too, with a few books. We'll talk about that, including her latest, Bloody Soil. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown somewhere on the East Coast, the very multi-talented author of the book Trojan Horse, Nerve Attack, and her latest, Bloody Soil, the multi-talented Sandy Manning. Sandy, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Glad to be here.
Well, it's great to have you on board, Sandy. You spent 2 years as a managing editor of Law Enforcement Commission before realizing that lawyers make a lot more money. You also worked with a first-tier law firm and the state of New Jersey to a solo practice. You also chair the New Jersey for the alternative to the death penalty platform as well. You also successfully got that overturned. You also performed stand-up comedy in Vermont, and you also won a nice award as well too. You're also an award-winning author of international thrillers and of Trojan Horse, Nerve Attack, and your latest, Bloody Soil. We'll talk about those. And before we get into all that, tell us how you first got started.
Sorry, I didn't.
Tell us how you first got started.
As a writer, I got started when I was 6 years old. I read this book where there was a dog that died, and I thought that was a terrible ending. And I said, I can write a better book. So I did. I wrote the exact same book, but the dog didn't die. And my sister made fun of me. But from then on, I wanted to be a writer. And I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, Cincinnati chili, if you haven't had it.
Oh my gosh, you're making me hungry already.
Oh yeah, it's the only chili in the world that has chocolate in it.
What a combination.
Yep, chocolate and Indian spices. It's amazing. But went from Cincinnati to New York to be a writer, and as I got tired of being poor, I spent a couple years living with 5 roommates in a apartment in New York, and I said, this sucks, and so I'm going to go to law school, and became a lawyer.
Okay. And what was that one precise moment that simply influenced you to what you're doing for the rest of your career?
I don't know if there's one precise moment. I mean, I've been a reader all my life. My love has always been books and reading and writing. That's all I wanted to do. But my life took a turn into the law business because you have to make a living, you have to live, and unfortunately, writing doesn't, except for very few lucky people, doesn't pay a lot. So I was a lawyer. I don't know that there was one moment, but it was just something I always wanted to do, was write. The law was really just something that I could do. Having that facility with language and the ability to work with details is a big asset for a lawyer. But I am no longer. I call myself a reformed lawyer. I'm no longer practicing law. I'm simply concentrating on my books now.
And we'll talk about the 3 books as well too. And you mentioned about your love of books. What are your favorite books growing up?
My favorite books? I don't know. That's really hard to say. I mean, I like so many books. I'll go with authors. I love Daniel Silva, Jean Le Carre, might catch a theme here. What was it that the girl with the girl with a dragon tattoo series? I love that one. I tend to like what I write. I mean, that's my first word of to all writers: write what you like to read.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. And plus you also had written some books as well too. You also wrote some articles as well too, and especially with the with the chairman of the New Jersey for the alternative to the death penalty as well too. And we'll also talk about some of your books as well too and your law career in just 1 minute. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor, The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those you love will be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has garnered great reviews, and Eve Levin enjoys by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and Minos. So grab your copy today for Goes Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Also, check out the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com on over 40 podcast platforms, heard in over 100 countries, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple Music. Also on HamiltonRadio.net and a few new platforms coming soon with a few networks as well. Take us with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. Follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok today. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. T-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies, makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia for great books like Missing, Once, and Wrinkles. Also t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, phone cases, and more. Amazon.com/Mia Molson-Zia. Check it out today. I'll support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the terrific lady who spent 2 years as managing editor of Law Enforcement Commission, also the award-winning author of international thrillers Trojan Horse, Nerve Attack, and soon to be released Bloody Soil here on the Mike Wagner Show. And before we get to talking some of your books, you chaired the New Jersey for alternative to the death penalty as well too. And tell us more about that project and what inspired you to commission it.
Well, I got involved with it partially because I knew a guy named Laurie Post, who was the chair of it before me, and he his daughter had been murdered, and he also knew somebody who had been innocent, who'd been executed, and he felt that he didn't want to have to tell his granddaughter that, well, daddy killed mommy and now we're going to kill daddy, but remember, killing's wrong. So he started the New Jerseyans for Alternatives to the Death Penalty, and then I took it over from him. I got inspired by, again, it was an innocence case, and as a lawyer, I know how easy it is to convict the wrong person, and I just don't feel like we should have something that you can't, a penalty where you can't correct it. And I actually wrote the first draft of the legislation that substituted the death penalty for life in prison without parole.
Okay. And what are some other alternatives besides life and parole?
Well, there's the alternative before this was life with parole, with the possibility of getting out. This is an alternative that life without parole was an alternative that most people found acceptable. That somebody who committed a terrible murder shouldn't be out walking around again, but we didn't have to necessarily kill them. And if by any chance there is a mistake made, that we can correct it.
Okay. Well, that certainly makes sense as well, too. That's being effect as well, too. And You also proceeded to become an award-winning author of international thrillers like Trojan Horse, Nerve Attack, and your latest Bloody Soil. And tell us about those, and especially what inspired you to write those as well, too. Especially a Kolya Petrov thriller.
Well, um, I've always been fascinated by spy stories, and I wanted to write something different. And so I don't think there's ever been a spy story written about a Russian Jewish immigrant in the United States working for American intelligence. So I thought I'd write it, and I wrote Trojan Horse was my first, and I wrote it, and it was a story where there was a Romanian terrorist who they needed to stop from a plot to melt down nuclear power plants. And in order to do that, they set up their own agent, Kolya, to be kidnapped by this Romanian to feed him false information. And I just sort of went from there.
Hmm. And of course, how'd you come up with the name of Kolya Petrov, and what inspired you to come up with the name and create the character?
Well, I am myself a second generation Russian Jew. And in terms of the name, my sister is also married to a Russian Jewish immigrant, and we were talking about names, and he suggested the name,
Okay.
and I liked it.
It certainly is interesting as well, too. And of course, protecting your own life, the life of a woman he loves, and especially with the Trojan horse as well, too. He also went on to write about Nerve Attack, and this time it actually kind of takes up to the next level as well, too. And tell us more about that.
Yeah, Nerve Attack is actually based. There's some elements of s- in all my books. There's something that actually happened that I base it off of. A Nerve Attack. There was a thing in London, or I think in England, where some Russian secret agents put a nerve agent on the door of a former Russian spy to try to kill him. They wound up killing they put him in the hospital, and they wound up killing some British citizen who picked up the discarded bottle by accident. And I thought that sounds like sort of a good idea for a book. And there's a street in Vermont. It's actually one half of the street is in Vermont, and one half of the street is in Canada. And I remember
Huh.
driving down that street and looking, on one side there are American flags, on the other side there are Canadian flags. And I said, wow, this would be a great town to have a scene in for a spy novel. And so I started from there, and I started plotting around and thinking, okay, you build from that. They're bringing in Novichok. How does this all work? And then I had to bring Kolya back. Kolya, after all the terrible things his agency did to him in the first book, quit at the end. I said, well, what's going to get him back to work? Because frankly, I wouldn't go back. So I had to come up with a way to get him back into the game, and that was Nerve Attack.
Hmm. That's really interesting as well, too. And of course, there's a lot of friendships and twists and everything else. And maybe just a bit of the twist, there's always love interest and everything else. And how do they manage to, intertwine and work their way out? It seems like a rather unique concept that you have as well, too, how you intertwine and how things work out, and be involved in everything.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the fun of writing the kind of books I do, is having all the twists and turns. And I mean, the way Kolya gets pulled back into the game is his best friend, childhood friend, who he had put in prison because his friend had become a Russian gangster. Um, has key to finding the guy who brought in the nerve agent, and he won't work with anyone but Kolya. And the question is whether he's going to turn on Kolya or not. And yet they have all these bonds from the past, and it's twisty. And meanwhile, his fiance is off getting in trouble herself, and keeps the tension high.
hmm and of course, there's a lot of tensions and a bit of humor too. And oh, speaking of humor as well, too, I forgot to mention you also, did some stand-up comedy in Vermont as well, too. And tell us more about that experience.
Well, yeah, about before right before Trojan Horse, I got my contract for Trojan Horse. I was getting tired of writing novels for no money, and I thought I'd perform stand up for no money. And so I saw this show, The Amazing Mrs. Maisel, and she was just great. And I thought, hey, I'm a loudmouth Jewish woman. True, my husband hasn't left me yet, but I can work on that.
Oy vey.
So I took a class in stand up, and after the class, we at the end of the class we did a performance, and I loved it. And I said, okay, I'm going to try out for Vermont's Funniest Comedian, and I made it to the semifinals.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that sounds great until you realize like there's 5 people in Vermont. But it's fun. I still do it now and then. I was just at a conference called Killer Nashville, and I did a half-hour stand-up show solo, and that was like the longest show I've ever done. And it was I had to practice for weeks to do it, but it was fun.
And it sounded like fun too. Something you competing against 5 people in Vermont. You never know. You could end up on America's Funniest or whatever it is. It's like, they're always looking for new comedians. That doesn't have to be in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago. You talk about it, could end up in Vermont. You never know.
Oh, you never know, and Vermont's a great place to be. It's so, and I look at that as more of my sideline rather than my main work at this point is the writing the novels. But every now and then the novels get a little grim, so I figure let's do some jokes and let off some
hmm
steam.
Have you thought about maybe doing another novel where you have some little bit of comedy in it or something? Maybe just break away from that genre.
I don't know that I could carry it through all the way. The funny thing is my husband, who all just is putting out his first novel. His novel is hilarious. It's a completely funny novel, and but he won't do stand up. And I just I just like to write serious novels. But there is a little bit of, at least there's funny dialogue in my books. I mean, Kolya is a bit of a smartass. Oh, excuse me.
It's okay. It's okay.
But I like the kind of novels I write.
Okay. And plus, your husband talked about you talked about your husband writing a comedy as well, too, like a comedy novel. I'd like to hear more about it.
Well, my husband's got a very wicked sense of humor, and he's always wanted to be a writer too. And so he wrote a satiric political thriller, and it's coming out a week after Bloody Soil. And we're actually going on the road together,
Nice.
doing events together. And it's going to be great unless he sells more than I do, in which case I'm going to have to kill him.
And you'll write another book about that too. So well, speaking of Bloody Soil, we'll talk about that book in just 1 minute with Sandy Manning. Listen to the Mike Widener Show at the MikeWidenerShow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by official sponsor of the Mike Widener Show, international warring author Mia Molson Zia Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the multi-talented author Sandy Manning of Bloody Soil after this time out. We're back with author Sandy Manning of Bloody Soil, along with Trojan Horse and Nervatech here on the Mike Widener Show. And Bloody Soil is the next book that's going to be out pretty soon. And tell us more about Bloody Soil and what inspired you to write it.
Well, Bloody Soil is basically it's a story about there's a neo-Nazi extremist group in Germany, and there's a mysterious American shows up to join them, and as a price of his admission to the group, he has to kill a anti-Nazi activist, a Jewish anti-Nazi activist. And but when he goes to do that, well, he shoots someone who's protecting the activist instead.
Ooh.
But the twist here is that one of the members of the group, the girlfriend of the head of the group, is actually out to revenge the murder of her father by a neo-Nazi, and is killing off various neo-Nazi members who she thinks are murderers. And she targets this American known as Michael Hall for the next murder, and it goes off from there. What inspired me, there was a lot of news a few years ago about something called Day X, that there was actually neo-Nazi groups in Germany that were plotting at what they called Day X, when they were going to kidnap government officials, kill them, and then bury them in lime. And they had body bags, they had lime, they had guns. And I thought, wow, this is, I could use this. And they're actually fairly scary group, and they're still out there. And we need to remain vigilant against them.
Hmm. And how does this different from this book, Bloody Soil, to the two books, Trojan Horse and Nerve Attack? How does that differ in ways, and how is it similar in ways?
Well, it's similar in that it's, again, lots of twists and turns. I don't want to reveal anything because that's part of the fun.
Hmm.
But and it's all my books deal with big issues. Something big is going to happen. It's going to involve a lot of people getting hurt or killed, and it involves various intelligence agencies getting involved to try to stop it, and what they do, or how they succeed or don't succeed, is a lot of the book. This is different, though, because it starts with Lisette, who is the young woman who is avenging her father, and a lot of it involves her story. What is she doing, and whether what she's doing is a good thing for her to be doing.
Okay. All right. That sounds really interesting, and something definite must read. And where can we find Bloody Soil at, along with Trojan Horse and Nerve Attack?
All my books are available on Amazon. They're available on Barnes and Noble. They're available through Bookstop, and they're available through directly through my publisher, Encircle Publications. If you want, so you can order them from any of those places.
We'll certainly check those out. Once again, with author Sandy Manning of Bloody Soil here in the Mike Wagner Show, along with Trojan Horse and Nerve Attack. In just a few more minutes here, what else can we expect from you in 2022 and 23 and beyond, Sandy?
Well, right now I'm working on the fourth book in this series called Paris in Darkness, and it is about some greedy politician trying to stop a documentary that could destroy his life. And I will just say Kolya and his fiance are on vacation in Paris, and it goes from there.
That's going to be rather. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I'm not sure what I'm doing after that. I haven't thought it that far ahead.
Okay. Well, that's certainly amazing too. Like to hear more about it next time on, and well too, and let us know about that. And who do you consider your biggest influence in your career?
Um, I don't know what that would be hard to say. I mean, as I said, like one of my favorite authors is Daniel Silva. I like to think my books have some similarity. Um, I, I would say that my biggest help in my career is my husband, who has been patiently reading all my books and giving me comments back, I guess, because he doesn't have a choice. Um,
Okay.
uh,
Well, that's certainly pretty good as well too. Get some help there. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Best advice, if you want to write, write what you love to read. Read constantly, and just keep going at it. It took me 15 years from the first draft of Trojan Horse to when it was finally published. I rewrote it like 5 or 6 times,
Wow.
but just keep at it. And if you but do it because you love to write.
And that's certainly the most important thing. Once again, with author Sandy Manning of Trojan Horse, Nerve Attack, and her latest Bloody Soil here on the Mike Wagner Show. Sandy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward again soon. Just keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love to have you back. And once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact? Where can people purchase or check out your books?
You can go to my website. It's www.sleemanning.com. And there's links there to buy my books. I also have on my website, I have all my appearances. If you're going to be anywhere in the area and want to say hi, come by, and love to see you. And it also has descriptions of my books, and actually the first chapters of all three of my books are up on my website.
We'll certainly check those out. Once again, Sandy, a very big thank you for your time. You've been totally amazing. Looking forward to again soon. Make sure you keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Love having you back. We wish you all the best. And Sandy, you definitely have a great future ahead of you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great being here.